Fahima Mohammed, and we have another brilliant topic for all of you. And I also want to announce quickly that we will be also having a new show starting next Monday with Sincere Community Services, bringing in new Muslims to discuss their challenges. So please do tune in next Monday, 23rd of November from 7 p.m. inshallah, where I will also be hosting that show. As we continue for tonight, discussing different social issues, I think it's really important that we actually discuss something around our Imam, the Savior. And we're going to be talking and exploring ways to actively wait. With me tonight, I am joined by Syed Razavi, our scholar. Salam Syed.
Assalamu alaikum.
And also have tonight our lovely Dr. Jaffer. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And it's a really, really important topic that I know you're very passionate about and working on as well as a project recently. I want to bring it to you, Sister Masuma. So tell me, when it comes to actively waiting, what does that mean? Give us a little bit of an explanation. What are the differences, that we can have more understanding what we are discussing tonight?
Sure. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So actively waiting is different. I think usually when we think of waiting, it's very passive. So for example, all the viewers would have been waiting for us to start the show, and there's nothing they can actually do to make it come about, earlier. They just have to wait. No matter how many times they look at their watch or their mobiles, it's not going to make it come on quicker. So that's a passive waiting. And a lot of the times we fall into the trap of thinking in the same way when it comes to our Imam. We know that the time of his return is controlled by Allah. And, it's been over 1,000 years and counting. But we also know that his readiness, he's ready to come. And he's actually waiting for his Shias, for his followers, to be ready for him. So we've been told that there's 313 Shias that need to be prepared and ready for the Imam to reappear. I think if I profess to be a Shia, then I have to be actively getting myself ready for the Imam. And if I'm not, then I may be the one that is stopping him from reappearing. So I think there's three things here that we can look at. The first would be changing our mindset and thinking, okay, maybe I'm the 313, maybe there's 312 that are already ready and I'm the 313 that the Imam is waiting for. So actually changing my mindset to be one of the 313 and actually thinking about what is it that I need to change in myself. So the second thing would be preparing myself, changing things in myself. And then the third thing would be to actually prepare our families and our communities. So that ripple effect that happens. But I can't prepare others until I've prepared at least started preparing myself. So yeah, actively waiting is a very active form of waiting, not a passive waiting for it to happen.
Okay, you've given us a really good introduction with regard to the differences. However, I want to go again to Syed. How important is it for us to be waiting in a particular way? And what would be that particular way for waiting for our Imam?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Waiting for Imam Mahdi Ajalullah Ta'ala Farajuhu is considered a kind of worship, but that can only be considered as kind of worship if we actively are waiting for him. If we just put our hands on hand and say, well, let the world become corrupt place to live, and so Imam Mahdi comes quicker, that is not the right way of waiting. Unfortunately, there are some people who think like that. It's not only in Islam, in Christianity as well, or in Judaism as well. There are people who are waiting for Messiah in that format, which is not encouraged. We believe that Islam has a solution for the world, and Quran is the final revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everything is in the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, although it may not have a complete uh, rulings in there, but the guidelines are there for all of us to follow. And Quranic teachings and rules and Islamic Sharia are not there to be left idle. If that is the case, there is no point of believing in Islam, no point of believing in Imam Mahdi Ajalullah Farajuhu. If we want to really believe in Imam Mahdi and Islamic teachings, we should bring those teachings into practice, into action. For example, if we say that, oh, these rules are only when Imam Mahdi comes and when he is able to implement, then we will practice it, and otherwise it is not wajib and obligatory upon us for at this time. That is a wrong way of thinking. Of course, there are issues that only a ma'asum and infallible can handle that, and of course he has to come. But at the same time, Imam, an infallible Imam, has given this responsibility to his followers, and especially scholars who are representing and implementing Islamic teachings and Sharia in the society, to deal with the problems and issues in the society. For example, I deal a lot of divorce cases. And one of the issues in the divorce cases is that the scholar who's dealing with it has to have the authority. Either himself he is capable of handling such cases where the permission of Imam Mahdi Ajalullah Ta'ala Farajuhu is needed, or an infallible Imam's permission is needed, or he has a permission from Maraji Taqleed or those mujtahids and scholars who have this authority and they have trusted someone and given this authority to that person to handle such cases. So the society and the people in the society are not left unattended. Unfortunately, in our society, especially in the cases of ladies, there are many ladies who are stuck and left as a mu'allaqa, or meaning hanging on, and nothing can be decided because the husband keeps imposing his rules, that I am the guardian and leader of the family, and if I don't agree, nothing else can happen. And the husband doesn't know that Islam and Islamic Sharia has given authority to the Maraja Taqleed and scholars who have this kind of authority and permission to handle and deal with these cases by issuing warnings or letters. And they have to try first to sort out the problem. If the problem is not sorted out, then the warnings have to be issued, and if the warnings don't work, then finally it should be handled in a way that nobody is oppressed. And of course, when we live in a non-Muslim society, there are certain issues we cannot handle in society. And therefore, again, the ruling of Imam Zaman has to come into action.
Thank you so much, Syed. You've given us so much food for thought as always, and you've actually highlighted very many points that we're going to go into a little bit more deeper. Sister Masuma, as you're hearing the Syed speak, obviously this kind of gives me a way of thinking that for everyday people, waiting actively gives us more meaning and purpose in life. To continue as practicing Muslims to another level, which we wouldn't normally consider. Now, what would be some of the real active ways that we can act practically for everyday people in order for us to develop ourselves in that kind of way of waiting, where it's not passive and it is a daily practical tip that we can actually, inshallah, where people are listening to the show thinking that they can actually do something or one thing from listening to yourselves tonight. And I just do want to also remind the viewers, this is a live call-in show. If you do have any comments and questions, especially for tonight, especially we have our wonderful Dr. Masuma Jaffer to answer your questions, as well as our Syed, so please do call in. So sister, what would you think about the practical tips?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I think following on from what Syed said, it's very true that a lot of the times we don't realize that Islam is a religion that is a way of life. It's not just a religion. It's not just about when we're on the musalla, when we're just praying our salah, or when we're at the mosque, or it's literally every aspect of our life is dictated by Islam. And what's more important is not just looking at wajib and haram, but actually looking at our akhlaq. And I just want to spend a little bit of time looking at this in a little bit more detail. So I've come up with the acronym Imam because it's nice and easy to remember. And each of the letters obviously stands for something. And that'll help the viewers to think about it when they're actually thinking about how to actively wait for the Imam. So the I would be initiating a change from within. So initiating a change within my own self. And here I refer, again, Syed mentioned the Holy Quran being a book that we follow and are guided by. So there's a verse in Surah Ra'd, which is Surah number 13, verse 11, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Inna Allaha la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Indeed, Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change their own condition. So we need to make sure that we're changing ourselves first and foremost. And the beautiful thing about Islam is that it's on every single person to change themselves. There is no one that is perfect. It's a constant journey towards Allah. So even though we have the lay person, we have the scholars, we have the mujtahids, we have the marja, but every single person is constantly moving on their journey towards Allah and trying to change themselves, to better themselves, to reach their potential, to reach their perfection, and inshallah then walk into paradise. Anyone who knows me will hear me referring to the 3 P's constantly: our potential, our perfection, and our paradise, and walking into paradise. So it's about focusing on trying to build my level of spirituality, build my connection to Allah, not just get those temporary spiritual highs that we crave for. Sometimes we'll go for ziyarah or I don't know, we'll be fortunate to have a really good My Ramadan or an experience, and we have a spiritual high where we think, we've done it, we've got there, and we feel really good about ourselves, and we want to make all these changes in our lives, but it doesn't last. So it's about actually building our level of spirituality, our connection to Allah constantly. It's being consistent with it. Not just not just going up and down all the time, but trying to be consistent. And here we need to be taking small steps. So doing things which are manageable, which are realistic, and ensuring that I'm consistently doing that thing. Not only, obviously, you need to concentrate on the wajib and the haram, make sure we're doing all the wajibat that need to be done, staying away from all the muharramat. Otherwise, there really is no point to it at all. But it's about, once we've got that sorted, to actually work on bettering our wajibat. And again, here, taking small steps. So it may be something as simple as starting our salah with adhan and iqamah, or reciting the tasbih of Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. So, simple things which take maybe a minute, even less, but it will then become part and parcel of who I am. Developing our relationship with the Holy Quran, even if it's just reading one line. We need to be constantly connected to the Quran. These are the words of Allah. If I am not giving any importance to the words of Allah, why would I give importance to the hujjah of Allah when He comes? So we need to ensure that we are constantly connected to the Quran. Shall I go on, or shall I?
Assalamu alaikum. Do you have a caller online? Sorry, I do have a caller online.
Good evening. Allah is just in the name. Khuda is within us. Khud. So it's education, use of common sense, common sense. It's not lack of common sense, but being from black. So Jesus was black, Ali was black, Krishna was black. They were all structured. They maintained the history. सभी को चेंज कर दिया उन्होंने हिस्ट्री को. हमें मालूम नहीं क्या.
I'm so sorry, but the line was really not clear on that call. If you could call back again, I would appreciate it, because I would like to understand what you're saying. But unfortunately, this is also an English-speaking program segment. If you do call back, please do call back with a clearer line, and I will take your call again. Again, Sister Masuma, thank you so much for those tips. But when it comes to us trying to be, again, we actively waiting, and we are actually taking on, I would say is have more self-reflection and personal development, and comes the extra actions in order to be close, have the connection that we require. Syed, what would be your tips on individuals who are looking to better themselves and actually getting much more closer with our Imam?
Yeah, I mean, the best way of waiting for Imam Mahdi Ajalullah Ta'ala Faraju is to start him from. As the sister was mentioning, there is a verse of the Holy Quran in which Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says, "Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim," is an excellent example that we have to bring changes in ourselves. And we should not just wait for Imam Mahdi to come and change. The guidance, the Quran is there. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and have given us enough guidelines to correct our behavior, and that starts from my son. It spreads to my nearest members of my family, like wife and children, and then the responsibility grows into a greater circle. You should cover the people around you, people in your city, in the village, in the town where you are living. And if you are one of the persons who can influence at a greater level, you have a greater responsibility. So nobody is excused. Even the person who least should advise and act according to his information and knowledge, and prepare himself and others for the appearance of Imam Mahdi Ajalullah Ta'ala Faraju, so he can lead the world into a peaceful place. Basically, we have the responsibility to establish the platform for him. And if we do not establish the platform, and that's what is said, if 313 companions, true and sincere companions, were there, or 50 ladies who would support Imam Mahdi Ajalullah Ta'ala Faraju were there, inshallah, he would establish his hukuma and leadership and authority in this world to lead the place with the assistance of Hazrat Isa into a peaceful place.
Very, very enlightening and refreshing to hear that, Syed. Thank you so much. Dr. Masuma, again, I would like to ask you for words to take on this responsibility as an individual. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us might even look at those numbers and thinking that we may never be part of it, or what would be the encouragement to try and get ourselves to a level of thinking that we can even learn, and what are the sort of like ways of bringing this sort of like positivity to people to actually take on the responsibility for themselves, regardless of that number being so small, and thinking that you are actually going to be part of it. Because I think that a lot of people nowadays probably don't feel that even close enough to even accomplish something like this. So what would be your advice on that?
although you said that the number is small, and it is, 313 is a very small number, but the fact that there aren't 313 ready, and that's why the imam's not come. So it shows that it may be a small number, but there's not even that number that are ready. And it doesn't say that it has to be either men or women. You know, it's for any gender, for any age, for any class, any ethnicity. So there is no sort of nothing barring us from becoming one of the 313. And also, those 313 will be the commanders, but then the rest of the people can still follow the imam. So it's that concept of, okay, even if I don't make the 313, I can still be part of the imam's army. I can still be, you know, on his side rather than against him. So again, going back to the acronym imam, like I said, I is initiating a change within ourselves. M, as Syed said, is making a change in the world. So once I've began to initiate a change in myself, and it's a lifelong process. So I don't wait till I'm perfect, but as soon as I'm working on myself, then I can start working on changing the people around me. And then, so that's the M, making a change in the world, you know, in the people around me. And then the A is for akhlaq. And I think this is probably the pivotal aspect of our lives. We tend to focus on fiqh, but really the akhlaq is what's supposed to come out from the fiqh. If we are doing the fiqh correctly, then automatically our akhlaq would be better, because we're moving on our spiritual path towards Allah, and therefore we would be perfecting our akhlaq. The problem is we tend to do it very much as a tick box exercise, or ritualistically, or literally just using the fiqh as, okay, I'm allowed to do this, so I'll do it. But not a matter of, okay, I may be allowed to do this, but is this what my imam wants me to do? Is this what God wants me to do? How would I be able to answer? Would I be able to do this in front of the imam? It may be allowable, but that doesn't mean it's recommended to do it. That doesn't mean it's the right thing to do at that stage. So actually thinking about it wider than the fiqh and looking at the akhlaq is really, really important, because we have, again, the mission statement of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was that he had been sent to perfect the distinction of our akhlaq. So again, he didn't say, I've come to teach you about God, or I've come to show you how to pray. He did all of those things, but he came specifically to perfect our akhlaq. So we need to look at our akhlaq and constantly be working on our akhlaq. And that can only happen if we have a role model. And our imam is the best role model. So the final M of the imam, I was for initiating a change within myself. M was for actually making a change in the world. A was for akhlaq, and M is for maintaining that connection with the imam. So if I maintain that connection with the imam, use him as my role model, and think about, okay, what would imam do in this situation? Would he behave in this way, or would he behave in that way? Why am I not behaving in the way that imam would? Because if I can't behave in the way that he would, then I'm not going to change overnight. When he comes, I will still behave in the way that I'm behaving now. And therefore, rather than being with him, I'll be against him, because my akhlaq will not be good enough to be on his side. So I need to make sure that I'm constantly working on my akhlaq, maintaining that connection with the imam to try to use him as a role model. That concept of mawadda is not just loving him, but loving him to emulate him, inshallah.
That's beautiful. I written what all of those acronyms mean, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. Done it with the starting with the self, and then the community and akhlaq. I think, you know, you mentioning that is an absolute important factor that I think we do take for granted. But the actual impact of having that high quality of respect and manners and etiquette is really vital. So I want to go deeper into that. I don't mind. When it comes to akhlaq, we also talk about it very, very generalized. Can you give us some examples as how individuals can actually be that? Because I think a lot of it, for me personally, is to do with the way in which you treat others as well as yourself. Because that alone brings about the character, that brings about a certain type of person, not just in your work, but with your relatives and family. And the only way you can actually, okay, you can do certain things, but the only way you can actually make those kinds of movements in your community is by being a particular particular way. You can be inviting and influencing to the others around you, and that comes from your mannerism as well. So what would be some of the top tips, to Masuma, that you can give for individuals? I think we are lacking of akhlaq. We can even speak so well, TV. When it comes to dealing with our own situations behind, it's so different. I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I think it's really, really important.
A lot of the times, the problem is our ego. I think we think so much of ourselves, and we allow our ego to dictate our actions. So when someone says something to me, I will react. I won't sit there and think, okay, how would my imam behave in this situation? What would God want from me in this situation? The Holy Quran says, repel evil with kindness, with the best of actions, sort of thing. So it's actually looking at breaking my ego, but not for others, not for not having it forcefully broken, but actually breaking my ego for Allah, actually becoming his abd, becoming his slave, so that everything that I do is dictated by Allah. And the only way I know how to do that is by looking at the Ayma as the role models, looking at the Holy Prophet, looking at Bibi Fatima alayhi salam as our role models, and actually emulating them. It's like a lot of the times we're put in situations, especially as speakers. I feel like as a speaker, you're put in a situation where you have to show a specific kind of akhlaq, because that's what's expected of you. So whether that is who I am truly or not is neither here nor there. I have to behave in a certain way because that's what's expected. If I learn to look at my true akhlaq, which is my initial, immediate, without putting my brain into gear, reaction to a situation, then I know how close or far away I am from Allah. So when something happens, I will behave in a certain way because I'm a speaker, because people are looking at me. But my initial reaction will probably be in the form of thoughts. I won't control my thoughts, although I may control my actions, because no one can see my thoughts. And if I am aware of what my thought is, then I know what my true akhlaq is. So if someone does something which irritates me, I may sort of smile it off, and I may be really polite about it. But in my brain, if in my mind I'm thinking, how dare they speak to me like that, or who do they think they are, then there's a problem in my akhlaq. That's my true akhlaq. That's who I truly am. But if in my mind I have got that positive mindset, and I'm giving that person 70 excuses and thinking, you know what, there must be something going on in their lives, that they've said this, or 70 excuses, then I know that my akhlaq is getting there, is a good akhlaq. So only I and Allah are truly aware of my true akhlaq. The akhlaq that I show to others is not my true akhlaq. It's a mask that I put on because that's what's expected of me. And I think just reflecting on that and being aware of that will make me realize how much I need to work on myself.
Absolutely. No, 100%. Lovely. Do you want to call online? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sister. I think we Muslim people asking to whole world about 200 countries, every country president, every country military person asking that, are you Muslim for God Messenger Jesus Christ Jesus from you?
I'm really sorry again. It's not very clear. Unfortunately, we cannot hear you with the line you're calling me on. I really apologize for this. Inshallah, we will be able to take more calls, but we are coming towards the end of the show. Unfortunately, your line is not clear. Syed, what is your on the acronyms that Dr. Masuma has given us? And was there anything else that you can add to it with regards to us making ourselves in a way of being so that we can be closer to performing and behaving everyday human beings with ourselves and each other? How would you advise people to make a difference other than just what we normally do?
Testing what Sister was mentioning, there is a hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in which he says, إِنِّي بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. He does not say that he was appointed to complete education, complete Sharia, complete anything else. He said that I have been appointed to complete the makarim al-akhlaq. I mean, I've been sent to teach akhlaq and manners in the society. And in another place, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, and Ahlebait also have similar sayings in different places, in which they used to say that if you want to impress anyone, you should not impress it with your tongue, with your lectures, with your telling them off. You have to impress them with your behavior. Your body language should be attracting others towards you and Islam. And body language can only be correct if your akhlaq and manners are correct. So, indirectly and directly, Prophet Muhammad and Ahlul Bayt are directing us to that. I mean, as Sister was mentioning, you may be extremely knowledgeable in jurisprudence, but you may not have the akhlaq to attract others. You may be very knowledgeable in philosophy, very knowledgeable in logic, very knowledgeable in any other subject, but if you don't have the right manner and akhlaq, you will not be able to even run your normal business in the society. There is a hadith that if you want barakah, you should behave properly with the people you meet. Even if you're running a small business, if you don't smile, if you don't behave properly, people will not come back to your shop again. So in all these narrations, we are learning that akhlaq is very important in our behavior, and that's what we need to work hard for, and Imam Zaman Ajalullah Ta'ala Farajhu maybe is waiting for that kind of character within us.
What you've said is so important. I have been trying to highlight this myself, generally anyways, about the fact that, like both of you have mentioned tonight, we can have the nature, we can be speakers, we can be in front giving the best of talks and the best of, being an orator as well. But really what's important, how we carry ourselves, no one is looking, and how other people can speak of you in a particular way because of how you are genuinely authentic, congruent, and I think it really comes back down to the akhlaq is there. We have good in, and we have to have the heart for it. So, what would be your thought on build akhlaq, Sister Masuma, to for us to actually reach those levels where we can be not just value and face front, especially if we're speaking, for example, on a platform, but actually be having those behaviors for ourselves with a personal interaction.
I think the most important thing is to constantly self-reflect on my actions, my words, and my day. So at the end of my day, actually look at how I've behaved, what I've done, what I've said, and actually have a conversation with my imam. I think a lot of the times we know the imam is there, we know he is in ghaiba, but we don't actually think of him as being real. We don't actually talk to him. We don't say salam to him in the morning when we wake up. We don't have a connection with the imam. So building that connection with the imam, and then actually talking my day through with him, because we know that he gets our actions, our deeds every single day, or on Fridays, as some hadiths say. So knowing that my imam's getting my actions, actually sort of saying to him why I did what I did. So again, a lot of the times we justify our actions. So we justify it to ourselves, but when you're actually trying to tell someone else, you can see that that justification doesn't work so well. Whereas if we're just telling ourselves, then we justify it. So actually having that conversation with my imam, telling him why I did what I did, thinking about every single of my actions in that day, the words that I used, asking Allah to, if I did it properly, then actually thanking Allah. And again, I think we don't celebrate our successes. So actually when something goes well, if I've thanked Allah and taken it back to him, then that concept of pride will not come in me. And then if I've done something wrong, actually ask for forgiveness, right the wrong that I've done before it's too late, and I'll ask Imam to help me in that as well. So it's important to build my relationship with the Imam. And one of the things that is really difficult to do is, how do I do that? What do I do? It's very difficult to actually think of practical ways of building our relationship with the Imam. And as Syed said, it's not just about me and my relationship, but it's that concept of the Ummah. So it's working together. And I think one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about the project that you mentioned at the beginning, which is called Active Intidhar, is because it's a project where everyone's asked to get involved. So we will work together as an ummah. So we're united together. We're sort of, moving together. It's a movement that's getting prepared for the coming of the Imam. And the beautiful thing about the actual project is that we will be given challenges to do, which will help improve our akhlaq, which will help improve us ourselves, and prepare for the Imam. Build our relationship with the Imam, build our relationship with each other, with the Holy Quran. So there's lots of different challenges. Every couple of weeks there will be a different challenge. Every month there's a different theme. So there's lots and lots of things that are going to be happening. The project actually begins the launch is on the 25th of November, which is the wiladat of the father of our Imam. So, in honor of the father of our Imam, the project is going to launch on that day. So if you haven't joined up, please, honestly, you will be missing out if you don't join up. It's activeintidhar.com. If you just go onto it and sign up, and inshallah then be part of the movement, so that we can actually then, inshallah, bring forward the reappearance of our Imam, inshallah, together.
Inshallah, thank you so much. Of course, I mean, again, it kind of like summarizes everything wonderfully and beautifully, and it's important that we do take the initiative like yourself, and even if you're not in it, but being part of it and following something, and you've actually helped by setting this up. If there was some final thoughts, got like a minute left, what would you like to say to rapidly?
Would be, we constantly tell the Imam that we're waiting for him. Let's actually do it actively now. Let's join the movement, join activeintidhar.com, and actually together as an ummah prepare ourselves so that we can actually hasten his appearance, because we need him. We so need him, and he is waiting for us. If we work together, we'll get there, inshallah. So activeintidhar.com, please join the movement.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Masuma. That's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Syed, for all your wise insights. It's been an absolute pleasure today, and it's been so wonderful and inshallah, some of you have taken these away and do join the program with Sister Masuma Jaffer, and hopefully we can more connections and better behaviors within ourselves and spread that throughout our community and society. And obviously we represent even outside in order to build better integration and relationships. Thank you so much, Dr. Masuma Jaffer. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Syed. Inshallah, we will be back next week with another topic. And don't forget, on Monday is another new show as well, starting at 7 p.m. Sincere Services, providing sort of different new Muslim challenges where we all can learn from. And I look forward to seeing you all next week, inshallah, as well on Open Dialogue on Tuesday. Have a lovely evening, inshallah, you got, and we can continue only with your support. I apologize for the caller that could not properly, but inshallah, we will be taking more calls and more statements